I were not mistaken, back in 1997, you were the co-presenter of the Hong Kong handover.
Yes, I represented Hong Kong at the farewell ceremony of the British in Hong Kong on the evening of the handover. Yeah, it was a very memorable evening for me to have a small part to play in something so historical. But it was a terrifying evening also, because it was being broadcast to 80 countries in the world, and you cannot make a mistake.
But everything went well.
It went well. We had 3 weeks to rehearse, and it's done by the BBC, so preparation is everything. The only thing we could not control was the weather. It rained and rained and rained. For weeks I had preparation. I had my hair streaked in different colors, and then I had the costume made. It was a short length national costume with beadwork and very intricate embroidery, and I had a nice pair of shoes. And then from about 2 o'clock that afternoon it started to rain, and we were on an open air stage because they wanted Victoria Harbour as a backdrop. So we had to work with umbrellas, so the highlights in my hair nobody can see. And then the rain was so hard, I was wet from about here down to my feet, and my shoes were completely ruined. But everything went all right. So, we were very, very blessed.
How much has Hong Kong changed since then?
Hong Kong actually is booming at the moment because of China. We're right at China's doorstep. And the government is still pretty much running like it used to under British rule. We have our own legislative council, and the governor makes the decisions to do things. The difference is that now people are more conscious in Hong Kong. If they're not happy about something the government is doing, they will say so. Whereas when I was young, I never voted. We were never taught
to voice out.
No politics was ever taught to us. And the government was pretty much a benign dictatorship. They would just do what they think is best. And if something goes wrong, they go to London and they say, oh, something is going wrong. Then London will look back in history and say, okay, under these circumstances, this is what you do. If you have a cholera epidemic, this is what you do. If you have, so this is what happened in SARS in 2003 when we had that big epidemic. They go to Beijing and say, look, we've got this problem. Beijing said, well, I don't know what to do. You figure out what to do. So there was wide panic in Hong Kong. Whereas if it had been under the British rule, it would have been different. They would have isolated a lot of people. They basically had a book you go to and say what happens when things happen, So China's learning to cope. We are learning to cope. And I think we've come a long way. We are now maturing. There are more Chinese people from China living in Hong Kong now, because in 2003, the government said that if any Chinese can come to Hong Kong to invest 7.5 million, I think, they can come and live here, and after 7 years they get Hong Kong papers. Now, as a Hong Kong citizen, we are free to go anywhere we want, whenever we want. Chinese citizens are not. They have to, first of all, they have to have a reason for a passport, and then they have to have a reason to travel, and they have to have an exit permit to travel. So it's not so easy for them. So for them, if they make the money in China and become rich, they can come and live in Hong Kong, and many of them do.
Frances, how do you prepare for your concerts?
I try to stay fit. If I know, for instance, in 2 months I would be working, then I would start to learn the lyrics again. I would start vocalizing every day, and I would familiarize myself with the music, and staying fit would help. So I cycle, I play golf, I do a lot of walking as well, and I practice Qigong.
Oh, you practice Qigong as well. Does it help?
It does. Qigong is actually basically breathing exercises. It increases the oxygen volume in your lungs and your lung capacity. So with more oxygen in you, your circulation is encouraged, and you stay healthier, and your immune system works better.
I see. Who are your fans today? Are they the fans who listened to you since the 70s, 80s?
Oh, yes.
What about the younger generation?
There are some who listen to records played by their parents, or they may have seen Shanghai Beach on reruns and become, sort of excited by the song, and maybe then Google me on on the internet and find my website and listen to some other material. But mainly I would say my audience would be my contemporaries or over 40 years old at least, I think. Luckily for me, they are the ones with the disposable income.
How did you maintain it, such a long singing career?
I think it's just good luck. And also an attitude towards the work. This is work I really enjoy. And I love doing concerts. When I do a concert and I can see the reaction of the audience, that is something that money cannot buy. And that is something that gives me a lot of satisfaction and something that will keep me going. So I think because I enjoy myself on stage and the audience can see that I am enjoying myself, they enjoy it as well. And that is why even over a number of years they are still asking for me to come back, which is really good. Yeah.
Are there any instances at all when you are on stage that you suddenly forgot the lyrics?
Oh yes,
or
it happens.
You started wrong key, wrong note?
No, wrong key, wrong note very rarely. Because I do know the music very, very well. But the lyrics can suddenly go blank. It's only a human, you're only human. And when that happens, you make your own, or you talk.
Yeah.
If I suddenly start talking, you realize I've forgotten the words.
And then what? The words will come back to you?
It will. It's amazing. This brain, I think the data bank is quite full, obviously. I don't know how many thousands of songs I have in there. But if you play the music of something that I have sung in the 70s, even in another language, the music starts and I can sing it.
Wow.
But if you ask me to learn something now, which is new, it may take me 3 weeks to learn a new song. It really is amazing.
You sang in so many languages. Was it hard?
Doing the recording, I had a lot of help. I had, like when I made the Thai records, the producers actually came to Hong Kong, or I came here, and they were in the studio, make sure my pronunciation is correct. And then, I have to memorize them and then learn to sing them when I come to Thailand. I mean, to be honest, I can only sing about 6 Thai songs. I can sing Bua Khao,
Rak Kun Khao Lao,
Chao Po Shanghai, Fa Plang, and 1 or 2 others. I can't remember the name, but I know the melody. In the other languages, I'm interested. So wherever I go, I would learn a song locally, just so that when I perform, if I try to sing that, even though the pronunciation may not be 100%, but people will think she's made the effort and they enjoy it. So I love doing that, yeah. And I love languages, I do. Wherever I go, I always try to learn enough so that I can order my food and I can get a taxi to go, whatever.
What would be your advice for those who want to become singers and stay in a career for a long time like you do?
Well, first of all, they must enjoy their work. If they think it is difficult and it's hard work, then they shouldn't be in this business, because this business is hard work. There's a lot of hard work. Sometimes you have to work very long hours. I think the 5 years after Shanghai Beach, those 5 years I worked very, very hard. I was recording, I was doing concerts, I was making movies, I was doing TV. So there are days that I don't even get 4 hours sleep.
Wow.
Because this business is like that. If you're in demand, people want you. They all want you at the same time. It's only by your willpower then you say, okay, I don't want to work. Now, to be in this business is very scary because you don't know how long you will be popular. And you never dare say no to work. So for anyone young who's starting in this business, if you get the opportunity to be successful, work hard at it, But try and get and manage it properly so that you do not burn out, because there's just too much demand on your time, and you must enjoy the work. If you don't enjoy the work, don't do it.
Must they add in a little bit of bad news here and there as well to be more famous and in the news?
No, I don't think so. I think you should be you. I have always been me, so I've been very lucky. I never had to put on a different facade. I'm me. So if you can be you and be happy, because I don't think you can really be truly happy if you have to be someone else. If your personality is not allowed to come through, and I don't think that's good. But you should always learn. You should always improve your knowledge, not just in the business, but outside the business. Read newspapers, read books, keep up with what's happening. That is important. Yeah.
What about their behaviors as well?
With the older generation artists, we are aware that we have a civic duty. We are role models. So the younger ones should also be aware that they are role models. Especially the teenage idols, many of the youngsters grow up watching them, and they will follow, what they do. So I always tell the young artists in Hong Kong, even people doing interviews or reading the news, I said, you have a duty to preserve the language, whichever language you may be presenting, right? So many of the Hong Kong artists, when they speak Cantonese, they're very lazy. They don't say the words.
They don't pronounce
properly.
it right.
Yeah. And they slur the words. And I said, well, as a public figure, you have a duty to preserve that language, because there will be younger people watching you and imitating you. And if everybody does that, we will lose the heritage, which is very important.
Is there anything particular that you want to tell fans in Thailand?
Well, I want to say to them that I'm very grateful and appreciative for all the support you've given me all these years. I mean, I've been coming to Thailand since 1974. The first time I came here was to sing in a concert in a stadium, singing Bua Khao. I was terrified. I was very young, but the Thai people have always been very, very kind, very gentle, and made me feel very welcome. For that, I want to thank you. ขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากค่ะ Thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time today. Thank you. Frances said she will sing as long as people want to hear her sing, but I'm pretty sure that we all want to hear her sing as long as she can sing. And apart from singing, her clean reputation is definitely something that young celebrities can learn from. That concludes this edition of Viewpoint. See you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ